High atop one of the hills which ring the teeming metropolis of Gotham City is the strange, dimly lighted, mysteriously secret Bat's Cave, hidden headquarters of America's #1 crime fighter, Batman.
Batman is a guardian of the good, championing the causes of justice over corruption, order over chaos, and stability over deviance. Yet, he is also a menace that breaks the law in order to catch criminals. This is largely how the Batman has gained the flawed title of the Dark Knight. But, as we will see later, this isn't a bad thing. Rule breaking is a vital force that upholds Gotham's social order.
He's a goddamn vigilante! He could be a suspect!
Whilst we, as the audience, tend to root for superheroes and oppose their enemies, this Batman film muddies the line between the good guys and the bad guys. Indeed, the Riddler is set up as Batman's nemesis, and yet the two are strikingly similar. They both combat deviance with deviancy.
He interfered in an active hostage situation. Coulson's blood is on his hands.
In sociology, we define deviance as behaviours that circumvent, flaunt, or challenge the social norms of a given culture, in this case, those of Gotham City. Of course, the Batman is more moderate in his deviance than the Riddler, preferring to use non-lethal weapons against his criminal targets instead of brutally murdering them. Yet, the key similarity remains. They both feel the need to subvert the law in order to uphold it.
They think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows.
At the start of the film, Batman has a very simplistic view of fighting crime. He wants to physically stop as many street criminals as he can whilst injecting fear into those he can't.
Fear is a tool.
But what does this fear achieve? Does he have any impact on the city's crime rates? Is he actually making a difference?
I wish I could say I'm making a difference, but I don't know.
It is no surprise that Batman with his masked vigilantism is not the solution to Gotham's skyrocketing crime rate. He is fighting just the tip of the iceberg, the crime that we can see. It is a rule as old as Greek mythology: if you cut off the head of the Hydra, 2 more will grow in its place.
Murder, robberies, assault. 2 years later, they're all up, and now this. The city's eating itself.
It is a regular theme with Batman that his crime fighting is inspired by a desire to avenge his parents' murder. This is hinted at in the film when he is referred to as the Vengeance, yet we see it more explicitly in Batman Begins. When Joe Chill, his parents' murderer, is killed prematurely, Bruce Wayne becomes frustrated that he has lost his opportunity for vengeance. Here, he falsely equates revenge with justice.
My parents deserve justice.
Well, you're not talking about justice, you're talking about revenge.
Sometimes they're the same.
No, they're never the same, Bruce. Justice is about harmony, revenge is about you making yourself feel better.
Rachel's point is that taking out individual criminals in the name of vengeance does nothing to restore a state of social harmony. It only escalates the city's problems. In targeting individuals, we lose sight of the bigger picture.
This city is rotting. They talk about the Depression as if it's history, and it's not. Things are worse than ever down here. Falcone floods our streets with crime and drugs, preying on the desperate, creating new Joe Chills every day. No, Falcone may not have killed your parents, Bruce. He's destroying everything that they stood for.
This is where the Riddler's approach to fighting crime comes in. He understands that to truly solve the city's problems, he needs to go deeper. He must show the world that the root cause of Gotham's lawlessness is not low-level street criminals, but the corrupt officials that run the city. Again, he doesn't shy away from using his own brutal methods to expose this truth.
I will kill again and again and again until our day of judgment, when the truth about our city will finally be unmasked.
This deviant approach to exposing corruption helps us to understand the practical nature of crime as understood by Emile Durkheim, a French sociologist who saw deviance as an integral part of how society functions. He argued that we, as a society, can respond to crime in 3 ways. Firstly, we can reaffirm social boundaries by punishing unacceptable behaviour. Secondly, we can use it as a source of cohesion, drawing on shared outrage against criminal behaviour to create stronger bonds within our social group. Thirdly, we can use crime as a source of social change, helping to open our eyes and understand when society needs to be reformed.
If you want people to understand, really understand, you can't just give them the answers. You have to confront them, torture them with the horrifying questions just like they tortured me.
It is this third response to crime, social change, that the Riddler hopes to achieve through his attacks on corrupt officials. His gruesome murders of his targets in all their brutality and symbolism serve as shocking catalysts for political reform.
I'm nobody. I'm just an instrument, here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city.
It's important to note that these assassinations, whilst brutal, do not threaten the social order of Gotham City. The city can continue to function despite his breaking the law. This can be seen in his decision not to target Detective Gordon, thus ensuring that the city's key institutions like law enforcement remain operational.
Riddler's not after you.
How do you know?
You're not corrupt.
Therefore, just like Batman, the Riddler's deviance is initially measured. His crimes seem to be committed in the spirit of upholding and reforming Gotham's social order. This is why the Riddler takes inspiration from the Batman and seeks a partnership with him. They are both using deviant means to achieve the same goal.
You showed me all it takes is fear and a little focused violence. You inspired me.
However, it soon becomes clear that the Riddler is not actually interested in restoring social harmony. Just like Bruce Wayne from Batman Begins, he is motivated not by justice, but a desire for revenge. He wants to get back at the society that locked him up in an overcrowded orphanage.
Let's just say none of us is alone anymore, okay? The day of judgment is finally upon us. And now it is time for retribution.
On this so-called Day of Judgment, the Riddler escalates his attacks from targeting individuals to targeting the entire city. Focused violence quickly turns to vengeful mayhem.
When the vans blow, the flooding will happen so fast, evacuation will not be an option.
His destructive actions threaten the functional interdependence between deviance and order, tipping the scales in favour of anarchy. Yet the criminal subculture that attempts to destroy the city are still following the example set by Batman, otherwise known as vengeance.
Who the hell are you?
I'm vengeance.
When he sees himself mirrored in this anarchic movement, Batman can finally see the consequences of pursuing vengeance instead of justice. He has not reduced crime, but actually increased it by inspiring others like the Riddler and his crew to seek revenge against the society that abandoned them.
I'm starting to see now. I have had an effect here. But not the one I intended. Vengeance won't change the past. Mine or anyone else's. I have to become more. People need hope. To know someone's out there for them.
This is where the line between the good guys and the bad guys finally becomes clear, and Batman shows himself to be a superhero. The good guys can see beyond the wrongs of the past to build a better world, one where justice prevails.
You know this place is never gonna change.
But the city can't change.
It won't.
I have to try.
It's gonna kill you eventually, you know that.
Despite the destructive force of the Riddler and his ideology, he has actually taught the Batman two key things about fighting crime. Firstly, when committing his own acts of deviance, he should not focus on intercepting low-level criminals, but try to create spectacles that inspire positive social change, such as exposing corrupt politicians. Secondly, his vigilantism should not be motivated by personal revenge, but a desire for the collective good, for social justice. In this way, we see the functional nature of deviance as outlined by Emile Durkheim. We need criminals to expose the faults in society so that heroes can patch them up.
We will rebuild, but not just our city. We must rebuild people's faith in our institutions, in our elected officials, in each other. Together, we will learn to believe in Gotham again.